Sonic Adventure 2. What an excellent game. It is considered by many to be one of the best 3D Sonic games that have been released. It has an interesting and engaging story, amazing music, and fun mechanics that are added without straying too far from what Sonic Adventure 1 brought to the table. The port to the GameCube only brought more fun with what's probably the best multiplayer the Sonic series has had to date. It had its flaws, yeah, but that didn't stop it from being a big part of mine and many others' childhoods. Sonic Adventure 2 didn't just add game mechanics, it also introduced us to two new characters, one of which was Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow was a fascinating character in SA2, and not just because of his fast-paced gameplay. What made many people like him, and what makes him interesting to me, was his backstory and motivations for doing what he does in this game. If you have never played, or at least watched an LP of this game, I'm not sure why you're watching this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Spoilers are plenty from here on out, so if you don't want the game to be ruined for you, it'd be best if you watch something else now. When we first meet Shadow, we know absolutely nothing about him, but one of the many fun things about playing SA2 is watching his flashbacks to the past and learning about how this affects the overall plot. An example of this is the first flashback before Radical Highway begins. In it, Shadow and a girl named Maria are running away from Gun's soldiers. Shadow watches a dying Maria send him away from the space colony in a capsule. After this flashback ends, Shadow says that he promised Maria revenge, and that was exactly what he was going to get. We learn that this is his true intention for showing Eggman the Eclipse Cannon and collecting the Chaos Emeralds, rather than his stated purpose of repaying Eggman for setting him free. All of Shadow's desires are centered around fulfilling Maria's last wish, and he will do anything to this end. We know this because he quickly realizes that he did something wrong when Amy tries to convince him to help the world. She basically tells him that while some people are selfish assholes, most are good. This triggers the flashback where Maria tells him to help the people on Earth be happy. After this, he hurries to fight Bio-Lizard and Final Hazard. He then falls and is incinerated before he can hit the Earth. This is the only conclusion that makes sense. He's fulfilled his duty to his fallen friend. What else could he possibly contribute as a character? Well, as future games would tell it, nothing really. His backstory, which was simple during SA2, only gets muddied up during Heroes and is completely pissed on during Shadow the Hedgehog, which is disappointing because it's his own game. He's portrayed as an emo amnesiac who spends most of his time sulking and wondering why he can't remember his past. Sure, there's hints that he's an android in Heroes, but that was clearly a half-assed way to explain why he was in that game. And sure, it worked for that game because it ended on a cliffhanger, but in Shadow the Hedgehog it was made clear that he was the real Shadow. So what the hell happened between SA2 and Heroes? How did Shadow get back to Earth without dying? We never get the answers to these questions. Ever. And yeah, you could say something like, well, Sonic doesn't die, why should Shadow? Or maybe he used Chaos Control. But first of all, Sonic is the main character. He doesn't die. I know it's a stupid reason, but it's just how it is. And for two, that's just a fan theory. And the point is, Shadow was shown to have died in SA2. Why bother bringing him back if you're going to be lazy about it? Because fan service, that's why. Fan service is what turned a good character into a simple, one-dimensional one. I could talk about Shadow's appearance in Sonic 06, but it kind of retconned itself out of existence, so technically, it doesn't count. Not only that, but the user known as Clement J642, or the Great Clement to his fanbase, did a much better job explaining why Shadow's story is bad than I ever could. I'll link the specific video where he does this in the description, but if you have about 3.5 hours to kill, I would highly suggest watching the review in its entirety. So yeah, I can see why people like Shadow. He brought a darker, more ambiguous edge to what's typically a child-friendly game. And story-wise at least, it was pulled off rather nicely. I just feel that all that is cheapened when he's brought back for no clear reason. Regardless though, he's here to stay, though he will never be the same character again.